Okay, so BasSynth by Wave Alchemy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how it works. I'm going to go under the hood as quickly as I can. I want to do this real packed, condensed kind of tutorial so you get all the details. And now if I'm missing something, and I probably will miss or skip stuff, then let me know if you want more information and we'll do a deep dive. Now, I really love this library. And why? First, it sounds great. Out of the box, you don't need to do anything. You have presets here that just sound good as they come. Nothing needs to be changed here. And if you're not happy with that, no problem. You can play here with this XY thing here, or play with these macros. And then if you want to design your own sounds, or you want to change those presets, no problem. Go to the design here and start messing around with these parameters. Create your own sounds. And it's easy, intuitive, and everything is very simple to understand. Now let's go back to the perform, and I'll show you exactly how to work with BasSynth. So first of all, you have your 4 engines, and we have for each one of them the on and off button here, volume, and we also have an XY control here that can change the macros that you see down below here. So that's the perform, pretty easy. Now, who and how we set these macros? Well, if it's a preset, then it's already set for you, and if you're designing your own sounds, then it's up to you. You can select any of these macros to control whatever parameters you like, and we'll get to that later. So this is it. This is the perform, and you just if you're happy with what you got in the preset, then go for it. Now let's go under the hood, and that's the design. So when you're going to the design, you still have more layers here. You have the engine, you have the tone, and you have the mixer. So let's start with the engine. When you're in engine mode here, you'll see that you have your 4 engines, and they're identical. Each one of them is a sound source. Each one of them can be designed differently. It can be used differently, but you can also link some of the main parameters. I'm not going into that particular mode right now, but just to let you know. And you can randomize the sound here. So I'm just clicking that dice here. And it just replaces the samples. It's not changing any of the other parameters. So if you find some settings that works for you in terms of tuning and frequencies and envelopes and whatever, then you can experiment with different sound sources. Now let's go deeper here. So in order for us to change or to select sound source, we click the magnifying glass here, and we have our selector here. You can filter out by source type, character, patch, and so on. And you can select those favorites here, those hearts. Very easy. Now, next, if we select any of these synths here, for example, let's just browse, double click. Cool. So that's it. That's pretty much it. Now going back to our engine here, what else? We have solo and mute buttons. We have tuning. We have start and stretch. Well, start is just pushing the sound further, so it doesn't start immediately. It will pick up a little bit later, and that's pretty cool if you're layering sounds and you want one of these engines to kick in a little later. Then we have the stretch here, which is kind of creating an organic feel by pitch shifting your sound over the keyboard. And we'll get to that maybe in some other deep dive video. And then we have the birds. Okay, so that little bird here is our voice, and we have the controls here. First of all, the polyphony. So we go from poly to mono to legato, and of course if you're in legato you can create glides, and if you're in poly you can add more voices. Analog is well, it's a way to create kind of an organic feel by round robin between different samples of the same voice. Then we have unison, adding more and more voices, detuning them, spreading, blending them into the original sound here. And we have this slope here. The slope will create another kind of organic feel by playing around with the tune, panning, volume, and start position of that engine to create some randomness in the sound. Next we have our frequencies here. Well, this is our filter basically. So let's try and play with that. And since this is already in a macro, then I'll better just maybe go and show you that. So let's go here to the filter, and we can see that we already have our frequencies, resonance, and so on. Right, and I can just delete all these, and now I'm controlling this manually. So first of all, that's the frequency, then we have our resonance, and we have our filter type here. So we have all kinds of options. We have our daft and ladder, which are basically based on filters from well-known synthesizers. We can introduce a little bit of drive here, and we have the slope 12, 24 dBs, and we have some other options as well. So we can add some effects here like vowels or a phaser. And of course, last but not least, we have the filter type, of course. So we have the you know, high pass, low pass, band pass, and this is pretty much it. And we also have like an overall high pass here. Cool. So what else? We also have our engine envelope here. And if you don't know exactly what an envelope is or how to work with that, then maybe you should check my synthesis basic course, where I actually explain everything about envelopes. And what important here is that you can lock it to your DAW BPM. Okay, you have triplets, dots, or straight, and then you can also have free form in milliseconds. Okay, so the envelope will control the way your sound evolves over time. How much time will it take to reach the maximum volume, and then, you know, the release, and so on. So that's our engine here. I think I pretty much scanned everything, and it's the same for any of these engines as well. Of course, you can solo and mute each one of them and create your settings and then blend them together. All right, so what next? We have the tone. So let's go to the tone here. And here you have additional options to shape the sound. And you can see that you have bit depth, rate, noise, lo-fiing, drive. And this is also already set in one of our macros here. So that's why we have that drive thing jumping here. I can just click all these X's here, clean it up. And we have some smart EQ here. You can see I can boost the lows, or I can boost the highs. And so on. So let's just try another sound just for fun. Okay, so this is pretty much it. So that's the tone. And then we have our mix. So in the mix, we see that we have two synths, and I'll talk about the effects in a moment. We have stereo widths, where you can go from complete mono to stereo spread here. You have the panning. All right, so you can blend all kinds of stuff here between those engines. And if you just, if you have an 808 or some real bass sound blending here, you might want to put it down to mono, but it's really up to you. Right, so next we have our volume here, and you can again set your volume here. And again, the noise here is also already, you can see that it's already in our macros here. I'm just removing that so we can play with the noise. Right, and I think what we still need to see is a couple of things here. First of all, our effects and modulations. So let's go back to the engine and go to our effects. So we have the option to have effects inserted into each of these voices. So we have 4 tabs here. Then we have our sends, and here you have a couple of slots, and these are controlled by our tone, with the mix here. You can see send A and send B. So each engine can send the sound to any of these couple of effects. So we can, let's just select something here. For example, let's take the reverb. And you can already see that it's assigned here, here, here. So, and we can have a delay, right? So immediately you can see that the label here changed. And clicking between those slots, you see all the controls. This is not a simple delay. You have, I mean, it has all the usual suspects here. And you have different types of delays like tape, diffuse, vintage, and so on. So I'm not going into each one here and all the parameters, but you get the idea. All right, so let's move on. So these are the effects, and we already covered the inserts here. And we have the sends, and then we have the master effects. So we can, for example, have like a compressor here, and we can blend it in. Okay, very, very cool. So going back to our engine here, I think we pretty much covered that. And now let's have a quick look at something else. We have our macros down here, and these are all the macros that we have. So all we need to do is we can grab this cross here, and let's just drop it on something. Let's drop it on our frequency here, for example, or you know what, on this frequency here. Oh, and we have it. So you see that's already set to something. and the label doesn't match, right? So what I can do is I can double click here, double click and say Freak 4. And you can see that when I'm playing with this knob, it actually moves. And I'm using my complete control right now. And there you go. So, and you can see that it's grayed out. So I'm not really able to change anything. So once you assign any of these macros to any of the control, then it's not available for you from here. I click it here, and you can see those options. Nice. What else? So let's go back to our engine here. When you want to assign any of these effects here, then what you need to do is click on these slots here and see exactly which controls you want to use, and you can just click the X here, and that's it. It's all cleared. Now clicking again here, I see all the types of effects, and there are many to choose from: EQs, compression, amp emulations, flangers, choruses, reverbs, beat crushers. And let's change that, clicking the X, and let's get like an amp. So that's the idea, pretty cool. And so next, jumping on to modulations. So modulation here is very simple to use, very easy to understand. Well, those modulations are, you'll find them in any synth. You'll see that you have envelopes. You have your 3 envelopes, and then you have 4 LFOs, and you have velocity, keys, touch, and bend. I'm not gonna talk about these guys, but wavetable position is unique in the sense that only if you have a wavetable source, then you'll see those. Now, what else? You'll see that you have your pitch and pan here, cutoff, pitch, pan, and I can, for example, take LFO1 and play with the, let's say, pitch. So I can change, and you can hear that wobble here. Now you have in the LFO, in each of these LFOs, you have 2 waveforms, and you can blend between them. I can change that, and clicking and dragging up, and here we have the rate, and I can lock it to my DAW. And you can see that when I'm moving that pitch thing here, the LFO, the amount of effect, then they all go together. So if you don't want to do that, you can just click here, the unlink just appears here, and that's it. Now I'm controlling only, I'm just controlling the first engine. And same here for the cutoff. Going back to envelopes, again, if you don't know about envelopes, don't worry, go to my synthesis course, then I'll explain everything there. And envelopes, again, I can control cutoff, for example, and you can see that ADSR thing here. So that's the idea here, and I think we almost cover everything except for the motion, and that's one of the coolest maybe feature here. So let's see what that is all about. Let's select something else. Let's get some other type of sound here. Going to the motion. So if you know Drumvolution from Wave Alchemy, then you'll recognize this. But if you don't, then this is one of the most useful features that I have here and also in Drumvolution. And you can see the macros here. Okay, so those intense, space, suspense, bend, and power are the macros that are assigned to this patch, and they are listed here. So for each one of them, I can do several things. Let's have a quick look here. And once you click that square here, you can just draw your motion. See the dots here? See that line here? That goes from bar to bar, and I can change the length here. And I can change the rate. So we are changing that parameter over time according to that graph here. So we can also add suspense, for example. And we can also have the power. Cool. So let's get something else just for fun. Again, big port. I have no idea how that sounds. And go to the motion here, and let's play with the filter. And we need to turn it on here. And let's have the rate. Okay, you get the idea. So I think this is pretty much it, and I hope I covered most of the things that you can do with this wonderful synth. And if I didn't, well, I'm sorry. So hopefully I can do a deep dive in the future. If you like this video, if you like other videos that I do, subscribe to the channel and follow me in Facebook. I have a couple of groups. I'll put the links in the description, so check them out. And that's it for me now. So see you in the next videos. Thank you.